Yesterday I was doing a video about assembling the last bottom plate on the ES345 body. The camera ran out and died while I was there rambling away. So what you missed was me doing just the last bit of glue and putting the top on, screwing down the edge blocks and putting all this in place, right? So, and the associated comments. But anyway, today is just about a day later, and I figured I would disassemble the clamp up here, and we'll just talk about the same comments and so on. I've put pretty much almost 100 pounds of weight on this center block, and that's actually nothing compared to normal G-clamp pressure that will accumulate when you're really squeezing a body, you know. But I really wanted to get a very, very tight gap on the center of the plate to the body, and I didn't hesitate to put all this weight on it. Of course, you have to be careful that the whole structure you're dealing with can support it. And the way I built this mold, the weight would be transferred through the whole body and onto the center core and onto the table, so I wasn't going to distort the sides in any way. Right, so the clamping method I've done, you missed me actually putting it on because the phone died. But what it was is simply these wooden blocks with a screw in it, screwed down into the wooden mold at just the point where it would lean down and press the plate down onto the side grip. So we're just going to disassemble this now. Comment on what I see. Regular noisy old drill. Fuck, what's going on? So I'm just short it out. The drill just died. What the hell is going on in here? A drill was just tripping my power strip. There's been some luck around here lately. I just got an order of guitar parts where I had meant to order a pair of graphite truss rods. One arrived in the box. I actually ordered one truss graphite rod by mistake. Okay, so here it is in the mold. I expect this to be stuck because surely there must be a little drop of glue somewhere that is it's going to stick it to the mold. So let me just try to wedge it out. I'm not so well prepared for this since I fired up this camera, but no big deal, right? Okay, I'm just going to try and press this out. There it is. Piece up here that's stuck. It's loose now. stock pieces. I don't break anything. Put them screw on the sides. Right? So great. This is the first time I'm seeing this intact since I first bought it. All those years ago, I was kind of hustled into buying this thing. This was completely intact, but it was spray painted in a white pearl metallic car paint. Very well done with proper clear coat and everything. But I just bought it as like, well, what is this? Is this just some cool old Chuck Berry-ish guitar that I could slap some parts on? And it's only when I started digging around in it, I realized it was a real old cherry red Gibson 345. And you know, Back to the Future guitar. So that would be that would be my goal for restoring this. I got a under the sea dance guitar, except no Bigsby. All right. Okay, so what you're seeing here now is my old plates reattached to the old original mahogany inside block. What's new are the maple sides here and the spruce layer in between, which was originally carved too thin on the guitar. When I disassembled this, after it disassembled itself from bad glue joints. The glue joint between the center and this plate was very bad. There was a gap where the wood was prepared too low, and they put a lot of glue to fill that gap, but they didn't even fill it. You could see where glue was just put on and dried and never really even stuck to the corresponding wooden piece. So actually hearing some very nice resonance here. You know, I have two little pieces of foam in here that I put in when I was gluing it. I'll have to pull this out later, but I put this here because I have to stuff in these pieces anyway for when I do the painting and staining and so on. But I figured I could put it in now, so if I do any sanding to keep dust, I don't know, we'll just see. But I'll put it in there anyway for now. I also routed through the spruce layer, the new spruce layer, which you can see here, right, that light piece. I routed through the top, the original pickup hole of the top, through the spruce, back down into the original maple, so they line up pretty well. Not perfectly well, I still have to adjust them because they were originally routed in at an angle, not straight down. So I have to take that angle into consideration when routing. The next step that I have to do is to clean up these sides and route away along these edges here to get a fresh surface to install the plastic binding. Right? And in doing so, in routing that new ledge, I will be eliminating the difference between the old plate outline and the new side outline, because when I got the new sides, they weren't exactly the same as this outline here. I had to bend them and put them in the mold to get the right shape. There's still a bit of variation along this edge about the thickness of the overhang here, a little bit, right? But in routing for the new binding, I'd be cancelling the difference and arriving at a top and back binding edge is like the factory edge, right? So the binding will be even all the way around. Before I do that, of course, I have to clean these sides of the new glue. So this is it, and I'm pretty happy looking at it. It's pretty heavy. It's not a light thing, and these guitars, when finished, even though they're semi-hollow, still pretty heavy wood, dense wood making up these parts, so it weighs about the same as a Les Paul. Even though a Les Paul has a reputation for being very heavy, this doesn't share the reputation, but it is actually the same weight. Right? But of course it's a bigger guitar, so it may not feel as heavy. that's it for now. Next thing is, as I say, next thing is binding. After that, I will trim and neaten up the binding and then sand the guitar for its finish, refinishing, after gluing on the neck and so on. Problem is, these guitars were originally stained directly with red dye, and I believe there was red in the lacquer sprayed, tone coat, a red translucent coat as well on top of that. Because I remember when stripping this guitar, it wasn't just clear coat coming off it, there was a layer of red coming off, so besides the actual dyed surfacing. So what I need to do is sand this as evenly as I can, not to bare maple. I don't want it to look white like this, but I at least want it to be even enough and clean enough so that when I put the new red dye back on, the new dye will mix with the old dyes so that it would be uniform, right? So I'm looking for uniformity. I don't really want to sand this so much that I thin the guitar surface down, because this, I'm sure some of this red has penetrated very deeply. So if I sand and sand chasing that red down to a bare maple color, I will end up sanding too deep. Right? So the goal is to clean the surface and get these dyes uniform again, even if it takes several coats, several passes. And when that's done, and I put a sealer coat on, I will see how that red looks, and then I could mix a clear red tone coat. My brain is lapsing. Shader coat, or whatever you call it, of red again, where I could even out anything that may be a little uneven, but also to having those two different separate layers of red, give it a different kind of depth or a nice look. So, and that would all be done, as I said, with the neck in place. Now, actually, I'm going to set this aside to dry for the rest of the weekend. It's a beautiful Saturday morning in the Caribbean here. Awesome. And I'm going to set this aside because this glue is still very dry. It's the working time, the real dry time on this container for this glue says to take up to 7 days to harden properly. And the hide glue, which I've used in other areas, is similar. It keeps drying, it continues to dry. And I've even noticed inside this body that certain areas that had a little gap in the wood that's now been closed because the hide glue shrinks. It contains enough water that when it shrinks, it could pull two pieces of wood together that had a bit of gap when you first glued it, which is an excellent trait. No other glue has that trait. If you glue it with a gap, that gap remains, right? So this body has a lot of drying out to do. And this kind of resonant tapping that you hear might even change pitch, it might get higher, you know. But of course that's part of the idea that old guitars sound better, is that the glues are completely hard and dry and more resonant, and the woods around them too. All the sap is dried out and crystallized and so on. The old guitar resonates better. But the truth is, a lot of the vintage guitars that we love were popular and famous when they weren't that old. When they were just less than 10 years old, they were already highly revered. So we can't say that a guitar has to be old to sound good. I mean, that's ridiculous. Does a guitar automatically sound better when it's older? Not necessarily. In the case of this, the aging of the glue causes deterioration, right? So really, what makes a good guitar as far as age of everything goes? Just picking good woods, using the right glues, and assembling everything as tightly as possible. You saw how much weight I put on the center of this thing, and when I'm normally building solid bodies and so on, the amount of clamping pressure I use on everything is ridiculous. I really squeeze wood together so there's no glue lines, and I use the right glue to get an energy transfer. So I'm real happy with this. There was a few little spots on the outline. As I say, it's not perfectly aligned, the new outline to the old one, but this came together perfect, 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 so that when I route for binding, I need to actually widen the line slightly. I don't have any wide ledges here that's too wide for the binding. That's what I was worried about. Right. So I'm going to cut this off for now and do another video soon when I do something interesting with the neck. The neck is the next thing. Here is the old fretboard. I showed you it for a second the other day in the last video. I've since just put on binding and let this dry overnight. And it's got the old inlays which are not in good condition. They look pretty awful actually. But the original, they're there, and I've kept them. There's one missing inlay that has this odd piece of pearl there. What can you do? I can't get another piece that matches this, right? So I'm going to work on this today, and next video you see will be something involving a neck. That's it for now.